Hey y'all, it is Moonlight Cowboy. So recently I did a build here in Flatwoods on one of the pre-existing structures over here. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. I love building on pre-existing structures. Normally, I build on ones that are like super hard and people look at it and be like, Moonlight, that looks really nice, but I could never do that, or I just don't have the patience that you do. I hear that a lot. So this one is one where you can build on a pre-existing structure to make your build look bigger than it is, and it still looks really nice. So this is the pre-existing structure I will be building on today. This is a little building in Flatwoods. You can build behind it, and you can get your build circle to basically encompass all of the building and maybe just a little bit of that truck. That's about as close as you can get from the cliffs behind it. So first thing I did was I got my foundation into place, so that way it's aligned with the rest of the structure. Took me a few minutes to do that. And if you notice here, I can place my foundations into the structure itself. You can do that with a lot of the pre-existing structures. They almost work as terrain, except you can't plant things on them. But it's enough to support the foundations. And you'll see that here in just a second because I'm going to remove these foundations. And look, it sits right here. And I placed it just inside so that way the foundations weren't poking up through the building itself. I didn't want to take away that actual really nice look. The other thing you can do here too is you can break into this building. You would do this to, say, hide your generator, or if you needed to get something in or float something up on top, above it. You can do some of your hiding of things for your build in this little area over here. And I'm going to just break in real quick so you can see what that looks like. I've obviously placed the foundations there. But yeah, you can do a little bit of hiding of things here if you want to. Now, I'm going to show you real quick how to do reverse underpinnings because that's imperative for the way that I built this build. And I kind of skipped around, so I want to make sure you guys see how to do this. So basically, off of one of the foundations, what I would do is I would catwalk off of it. And I'm going to do this. I'm counting out catwalks by the amount of foundation lengths. And when I say reverse catwalk or reverse underpinning, I mean I don't want the wallpaper side out. I want the actual wall texture, the outside of the wall sticking out, right? So then what I would do sometimes too is I would need to go underground, especially on hilly terrain like this. And that way I'll be able to place more of these underpinnings. So I'm just moving my ladder and stuff around so I can get underground. And once I have one up, it's really easy because I can just catwalk off of that wall that I just placed, as you will see. I'm just adding stairs so I can get a little lower. And yeah, see, I added those catwalks, and see, I'm able to place things underground, sticking through the ground now because the ground is kind of soft. So now that I've got my walls in place, my underpinnings, in order to place the foundations in place, because now the walls will be intersecting with them, unlike normal underpinnings, the easy ones. All I'm going to do is I'm going to break those walls. I turn those into either like the abandoned mindset, the horizontal ones, or in this case I use the corroded concrete walls. And you can add all kinds of things. It doesn't have to just be regular foundations. It could be porches, it could be whatever you want. In this case I'm adding porches. That's not what I end up going with on that part, but just for context so you can see that's how you would do that. It's pretty straightforward. The only tricky part might be getting underground to place your foundations through the walls. So moving on. Now that we've figured out how to do kind of those reverse underpinnings, I have one in place here that I want to utilize. So again, I'm underground. And I am going to place these walls. I want to make sure these walls go all the way up the hill. I don't want there to be any gaps towards the edge of the hill. I'll end up using like grass-like foundations up there, just to kind of make sure it looks like it's integrated with the hill. Now, for those of you who, yeah, there we go. For those of you who, normally follow my builds, this one's going to be one of the easier tutorials you'll see me do. Occasionally, I do these houses where they're kind of freestanding. This is like a hybrid because, yeah, it integrates a pre-existing location, but really it just does that for like texture. It's not like I'm building into it extensively. I'm just adding some foundations and some roofs on top, or floors and walls and whatnot. So it's not like it's a full integration. So this is one that I want to do that I feel like anybody could kind of build with a little bit of know-how. But like you see here, I'm destroying those walls so I can add those foundations in. One thing I would recommend too when you're adding your foundations is try and make sure that they're the direction you want them to go before you are like done, because you're gonna have to break these again if you want to change the direction of your floors. What I mean by that is like make sure they're the texture that you want, like maybe a wood, and make sure they're all aligned. Now, as you see here with the camp device, what I'm doing, because that foundation went in place, is I'm putting a camp device right there at the edge, and when I do that, I can then place a floor through the ground. But see what I'm talking about? Like, I'm going to go ahead and rotate these around so that way they're all going the same direction. It's funny because, like, I sometimes I don't practice what I preach. And sometimes I tell you these things because I have then gone through the experience. This build's a perfect example because what I did later on, you'll see it. What I did was I lined all the bricks to the way I thought I wanted them to go. And then because I ended up doing the house more or less sideways along this build, I ended up flipping the floors anyway. But still, as just a general rule of thumb, I always, before I start doing tricky things with the walls, like those reverse underpinnings, I'll make sure they're going the way that I think I want them to go. And then if I have to change it, it's just kind of a pain. So I know you've seen this part of the clip already before, but just to reiterate, so I'd already put those reverse underpinnings over there. And now I'm putting them over on this side. Same process applies. So I'm not going to go through the whole length of how I did that because, I mean, you kind of already saw that part. But anyways, yeah, this was the point where I wanted to decide how wide my build was going to be. So now we're going back underground. And I'm adding more underpinnings. And because I have the foundations on the other side, I could just kind of move the catwalks over, but sometimes you're going to run into interference because of the ground. Even though it won't let me move them over, that doesn't mean I can't snap them through individually. And maybe I have to change up my plan, right? So instead of going lengthwise like that, I'm going to do like my, kind of semi-patented U here, where I just kind of go catwalk, angled catwalk too small, angled and then back, so I can just do the wall right there like that. And I can do this a couple of times here. So again, I want to make sure that edge is flush with the ground, so I'm going to keep going. The cool thing is underground, these rocks, they don't have collision. They only have collision above ground. So I was able to get it really close to that cliff, but underground, like I can snap it through the rocks, no problem. See, they go right through. So then I get my underpinnings there. And then what I will do, of course, is I will change these to the wall type that will allow me to make them where I can snap my foundations in. Just to show you one more time, added the catwalk, and I was able to snap it through. So this way, again, I think this is going to be for builders who have always wanted to follow one of my tutorials, but hadn't found the one that they thought they could. Because this one does turn out really pretty. But I just want to make sure you see that, yes, you can snap them through to your leisure. See, you can get underground. So I swear that wasn't done on accident. I wanted to show you because I have had plenty of people ask me like, "Oh, you went too fast." I'm going a little slower with this tutorial too. Again, so that way it's a little easier to follow. I added more inserts to this one, so I still anticipate people will still struggle with a couple of things, but I'm trying to make this one as easy as possible because I don't see a lot of advanced builders doing this. It doesn't mean that they can't. This still comes out to be really custom looking. But like I said, I am breaking all those walls so I can get my foundations in place. The one that's kind of in the ground can be a little tricky. It might take you a couple tries to get to that one. But yeah, so that right there, that's not the concrete foundation. Those are the army base walls that give it that look. This is the point when I also realized that with this build, I can do porches up here. Because again, if foundation works, then I can use porches. And for me, I wanted to add that, like, I didn't want it to just be a whole bunch of walls up there. I thought that would be a little boring. So I wanted to add the texture of having the porches. So I put the porches in some unique places. I have it merged through this roof up here, and it just snaps through, and there's no trick to this. And I do that across one length, and then on the one side over there, I'm going to do more. But I got that in, no problem. I think that looks really cool. I end up changing the style of porches that I use. But I like the look overall. And then for this side here, I didn't end up going with the porches right there. I ended up going with the extending out my living area here. But again, showing you how easy this is to do. As long as you have the right walls. I use the concrete, the corroded concrete, and then the diagonal abandoned mindset all the time. There are other walls you probably could use. I do believe the greenhouse set might work for this too, to be able to get your walls in, because those are walls that even though there's still an outline on the outside, it's completely hollow on the inside. But yeah, you can see again, like, this is pretty easy to do. So it's starting to look like that it's completely integrated into that structure and it's supposed to be there. Now I'm going to show you how to do double walls next to porches. So this is a little tricky because, like, I wanted double walls to be here, and I just kind of threw these up here as an example. It was an idea I was playing with. All you have to do is remove the porch, add a foundation, a regular foundation, not a porch, double wall it, and then put it back. As long as they're doorways, you can remove foundations, no problem. But in all honesty, you can remove the one foundation anyway, because the walls still feel like they're connected to at least one foundation. So as long as you have the one foundation there, you won't have any problems. But again, if they're doorways, you could remove all the foundations. So onward and upward. We've decided we're going to put the porches on this side. Now, this is the look that I end up staying with. I don't know about you guys, but every once in a while I get into a build, I'm like, maybe I want to change it up a little bit. Maybe it's not as fancy as I want it to be. So, I'm just making sure my porches will go in first and foremost, which they will. And then again, like we talked about before with double walling, we're going to end up double walling these as well. Kind of looking around, surveying what I want to do with the build next. If you notice, I turned this one right here I took out. And now I'm going to do the double wall thing. And I'm going to do another fun trick here too. So once I've double walled there, I'm going to double wall on the other side of that brick platform right here. And I want the wall coming in, like the doorway, to be offset. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add two walls. I'm going to add one over here like so. And that wall doesn't have an underpinning under there because I'm gonna put stairs there, but I can put the underpinning on anytime. Anyhow, so if you notice, I added a doorway there, one of the doorways that allows you to double wall, which is the blue ridge set. And because I have the other wall here and I'm going from underneath, I can double wall this side as well. And yeah, no problems there. This is that moment where I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to probably change all of my floors to go the other way. And I was wrong about something. Now that I'm looking at it, I did actually have the underpinning there, but I was able to place the wall and remove it because the foundation was in place, and it was the corroded wall. So again, I removed that one set of porches because I wanted that to extend that living room. And now I've kind of got my structure laid out. Now I'm figuring out my room. So now I know I want a bathroom. Like, that's kind of one of my things. I have to have a bathroom. So we're going to double wall a different way here. So I'm coming from above this time. I'm using the corroded wall set, and then I'm destroying it, and I'm coming in with another corroded wall set because I want the bathroom to be smaller. I want the bedroom to be a little bit bigger. This will mess me up later with my roofs because, if I do angled roofs, the wall would have poked out through them. So I'm going to do a combination of angled roofs and flat roofs. But for now, I'm showing you that I am doing the half wall double walling. And to do this, you need the brick set. And then all you have to do is destroy the first brick half wall, and then you can put the other one going the other way, so long as it's double walled below it. So I like to break all of them first, and then I can just go around in one fell swoop and hit them all with the double wall. Pretty easy stuff here. Yeah. The only thing that's really gets complicated with this build, in all honesty, is coming up here shortly. This part too. So notice I had double walls kind of offset there. So in order to place the double walls through it, it wouldn't let me just place them normally. I changed them to angled walls. And as long as it's not the brick angled walls, which leaves a residue, like these other walls, like when you break them, they go fully intangible, similar to like the corroded walls or the abandoned mine diagonal walls. So once I destroyed those, watch, I can just place that right there because it'll let me snap it through. And I do that in two places. Over here I have a similar situation. So I'd already changed these to the angled walls, one that I knew would go intangible. Destroyed those, and then I can add my my half walls, so that way it's double walled up. Nothing worse than getting most of the way through your build and not being able to double wall when everything else is double walled. So now that problem is more or less out of the way, I'm going to add this final walls over here. I'm going to remove my roofs by just putting them at an angle and then removing them so they're unsnapped. Although I probably didn't have to do that since the walls were connected to foundations. Force of habit. Now this is the part that can be a little bit tricky. And this might be something that, if you're an advanced builder and you're looking at this might be something you didn't know. I did not include this in any of my previous tutorials. So for those of you who are like, I don't need to watch this because, I know how to do all this stuff. This might be one you might not know. So we're going to do double wall with these angled walls by destroying them. Same process as the half walls. Now you're like, oh, well, I knew that. But did you know that you can quadruple wall these walls with the angled? And that's important here because I'm going to do a lot of offset walls here for like texture on my roofing. So first I'm going to double wall these. On the outside, it's not a big deal, but as you see, between the outside, the middle, and then the other side, you have different places where they're at. So they have to be quadruple walled. Otherwise, you're not going to get the wallpaper on the outside. So first, we are adding our regular double wall on these. Again, real basic stuff here. Looks good. But then we're going to destroy those double walls on that side. They were already double walled. I am now going to add my second level of double walls because I need them to go opposite directions. So double walled one way, double walled the other way, the angles. So it'll kind of make a V. And this way it'll follow the roof line on both sides. And then once they are double walled, you can change them to whatever wall style that you like. But yeah, right here, double walled and double walled. And you can tell it's double walled because you can see the other wall that's broken right there. And now you see how it's wallpapered on all sides, even though it is double walled like that. So like it's double walled and then double walled, so you get that wallpaper all the way throughout. That's why that's important. So now I'm going to show you that same trick, but I'm going to show you if you don't have double walls below it. So in this case, I needed to do this so that way this side of the roof, and it didn't have a wall down below. So now I'm going to do the same process, but I'm going to do it with catwalks. So first I put the first wall into place using catwalks, and I'm breaking it. Now I'm going to go off of that same catwalk, and I'm going to do the exact same thing again. Instead of going the other way with it, I'm going the same direction, which you won't see me do very often. I'm just going to change the wall angle, and look, they're both going different directions, but the walls are facing the same way. And then I'm going to break that. And now I'm going to do it going the opposite way, twice. And this was so that way I could have an opening below where you could just pass through without a doorway, but then also have it enclosed by the roof up top and still be double walled so that way it looked wallpaper correct. So I'm adding my third wall now. I'm removing the catwalks, breaks that connection, and then I'm going to add one more set once I move my character off of that wall like he's at. I'm going to do it one more time. And I have just quadruple walled with the angled walls right there. And this way I get really nice wallpaper on the inside and the outside. See that? That looks good. And that'll look great for the outside of my build aesthetically, having that wallpaper like that. And that's not something you see on a lot of the common builds. See that? That's nice. Came out good. So I'm going to cover up these, see you have those slats up in there like that. I'm going to cover those up in a minute because I'm going to add a layer of roofs down below. And this is the last part of this structural tutorial I'm going to show you. I did forget one of these walls, as you saw just a second ago. So I'm just adding that real quick and I'm showing you. You can add these after the fact too. Just make sure they're going the correct direction, like that the walls are facing the right way. And yeah, I can just turn that, repair that, and then that's where it should be. Cool beans. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at destroying all of the roofs that are up on top because I'm going to add flat roofs underneath. And this is super easy to do. For those of you you like the texture of the wall, the roof on top, but you think the underneath of the roof is kind of hideous. I'm destroying these roofs, and I'm just going to snap roofs underneath. Literally that easy. Now, with these walls down below, where I have them off center, like at the entrance there that I made, you will then put the first roof down, and then you'll angle that roof up, and then you can snap a roof. See, I can't snap a roof there because it's intersecting with that wall. But once I angle this up, you gotta play with it a little bit. It will snap. There we go. And now I can flatten that, and it'll hide the kind of the wall stuff inside up there, but it'll also look really nice from the top and underneath, because then you got that clean set. And you could have actually, if you wanted to go with flat roofs here, you could have done that, and you could have easily had double layered flat roofs doing the same thing just by flattening those roofs instead of having them angled, right? So same process here. Again, I had an offset wall. See that? So all I'm doing is I'm angling it up. And I can just snap that in over there too, just like that. It's below that threshold. So once I do that, boom. Fabulous. And I can do that with everywhere. So, and then I just repair the roofs that were in place. You have to break those roofs though, because otherwise it won't let you place the other roofs. It'll say it's intersecting or whatnot. And yeah, the structure is done. This came out really good. For one of my more, like, I would say not super advanced builds, I thought this came out really nice looking. The lighting really helped. The pre-existing structure really made it pop from the street. Kind of looks like a split level farmhouse on a hill. That's why I called it the Flatwoods Farmhouse. But I mean, everything about this, plus I added some trees and some greenery around it and some roses for some texture and kind of break up the monotony. So again, I really like the way this turned out. I also believe that this is one that virtually anybody could do. So if you've been waiting for that tutorial, like I want to do a Moonlight Cowboy tutorial, but I don't want to do anything that crazy, this is one that's not that crazy. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial and my other content. I really appreciate you. Stay blessed, and y'all have a blessed day.